give you some, to share with you some insights and some tips on how to get the most out of your. In the US, quizzes are really important, so otherwise students often don't pay attention. So anyway, it's great to be here, and congratulations on being accepted into the program, into the NDI and MBA program, the PGDM program. And I remember starting my MBA many years ago. Didn't really know. The main thing was that, yeah, hey, I got in, That was the important thing. And so I want to remind you that this is only the beginning of your journey. Sorry, but this is the beginning, all right? And so this is where you start off and you have your entire careers in front of you. I wish I was in your position, It's wonderful to get started. This is something that's, really important to have some diversity. Why do you think it's important to have diversity? Anyone? Like, I didn't mean to say that, there's nothing wrong with BCom or BBA, whatever you've done, but some stuff, outside. You do projects. I'm sure you do projects in many of your classes, so then you learn what's happening in the real world and put the theory into practice. And then there's also specific knowledge, going really in depth into a certain area versus, more general knowledge. And so that actually, I think reading is also really, really important. And I didn't have that on my slide, but maybe some of you are passionate about history, passionate about, reading. Even that's really valuable when you are in business, because if you are knowledgeable about a certain area, then that's often, you never know, it can suddenly prove to be valuable to you. So the other way in which one can look at people is to call them, there are, and I don't know whether you come across this, are you a T or an I individual? Have you heard this before? Anyone? The I and T individual? Okay. Yeah, what is it?
I means the individual and team means teamwork.
Could be, but actually it's not quite that. Yeah, anything else? Is that what you thought as well?
I is, madam, specific kind of knowledge, and T is the bandwidth of knowledge.
Great, exactly. That's what it is. Exactly. So I is like in-depth knowledge in a particular field, and T is the more, general knowledge across different disciplines. Exactly. So we talk about usually, in the literature, we talk about, academics talk about two kinds of researchers have come across two shapes of individuals. And what are these two kind of individuals? The I-shaped professional, as it says here, that is they are highly versed in one specific area of expertise, right? And then they like to go drill deep into that one specific area. And then you have, on the other hand, you have the T-shaped professionals who they have broader skills and broader knowledge, right? And they usually learn by linking different perspectives from different disciplines together. And that's why I said that those of you who have done, so it's valuable if you've got another discipline before coming in here, because then really you want to become T-shaped individuals, right? Because you've already got one discipline in your undergrad degree, and now you're combining that with what you're going to learn in this degree here, right? And typically in any business school you're going to learn different subjects, right? So you will be learning, marketing and finance, and you could do information systems and whatever other subjects, and what I would encourage you to do is to try to tie them all together, because you never know, what you learn in one subject can be really, really valuable in another subject. And actually, that's found that successful professionals, all the ones I know, have done really well because of that. Because they see that they're not just, they may be in marketing today, they may be heading up sales or marketing, but they have very deep knowledge of finance. So they really understand the numbers, and that helps them be successful salespeople, right? Because generally speaking, salespeople don't know enough about about finance. They don't understand all the details of finance. So if you do, then that can actually help you to succeed in business, to lead. So again, what type of organizations do you think, what type of individuals do you think organizations need? What do you think? Pardon? T or I? Or both?
What is it?
Yeah. Typically they need both, right? Organizations need both. But so this is just repeating what we've already said, which you already know. So that the broad knowledge and the deep knowledge, right? And so the T-shaped individuals can apply knowledge across different situations. And then there are some examples, as you can see, on functional disciplinary skills. So this is something one has to ask, you need to ask yourself, what sort of a professional would you prefer to be? An I-shaped individual with deep knowledge, or a T-shaped individual with more, broader knowledge? And organizations need both kinds of individuals, but typically what's found is that the leaders in any organization tend to have broader skills, right? And so T people are better at fostering diverse connections, bringing different disciplines together, leading to innovation, and bringing people from different, because you need to be able to speak to people of different disciplines as well, right? And so they're the ones who generally bring about innovation in organizations. And generally speaking, the CEOs of companies are T-shaped. I mean, obviously not everyone becomes a CEO, but at the same time, if you aspire to do so, then you should try to be a T-shaped individual. But if not, at least you should have deep knowledge in one field, because if you have neither, then that's kind of, it's not going to take you very far. So how can you develop these T skills? If that's what you're interested in, how can you develop T skills? That's a question. Really, what you need to do is to broaden your sources of information and knowledge. And there's a picture here. You recognize this guy? Steve Jobs. Yeah. So the interesting thing about Steve Jobs, I mean, he's a dropout. He was nowhere. He didn't even get to business school. But anyway, that's not the point. When he was doing his undergrad degree, one of the classes he took was in calligraphy. And that was not his main subject. But in fact, he says that proved to be one of the, the most powerful classes that he took, and the most influential, because he used the knowledge he gained from that calligraphy class to founding Apple and to having all the fonts that Apple, that you have in your computer, in the Apple computers, and now of course in Microsoft as well, right? The different fonts, whether it's Arial or whatever, Times New Roman or calligraphy, etc. So you never know where you take a particular class, and that could actually have an impact in another field that you're working on because of what you learned there. So that's a skill. And then the third aspect is what's the third thing? Your drill? The drill. Yeah. So what's a drill? That's your work, right? So you're really passionate about something, and so if you can, you should try to follow your passion or find something that you really love doing. Then your skill, you find something that you're really good at, identify what you're really good at, but remember that that's not sufficient, right? You have to be able to be willing to work really, really hard. Any of you heard of a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? Have you heard of it? Outliers. I should have had it here. So that's a book that's really worth reading. It's called Outliers, and it's by Malcolm Gladwell. And that book says, it gives examples of people like Mozart. You heard of Mozart? Yeah. It gives examples of the Beatles. You heard of the Beatles? And then various athletes, and then also this guy, the Microsoft founder, Bill Gates, and various other people. So he gives examples of people from different walks of life. And what is the one common thread amongst all of them is that they have put the number of hours that they put in to become as good as they became in their chosen fields, right? And so his rule of thumb is 10,000 hours, right? You have to be willing to spend 10,000 hours to become a master in whatever field that you want to succeed in. So that's important to remember. Oops, what happened? It's changed over. Oh no, what do I do? Can anyone help me? No. I don't know how. Does the name Meg Whitman mean anything to you? Meg Whitman? Anyone? Anyone heard of her? No. No one's heard of her? You heard of eBay? You heard of eBay? She used to be the CEO of eBay. And you've heard of HP? Yeah, she was also CEO of HP Enterprise. HP, before they split up into the two, HP Inc. and HP Enterprises, and then she recently stepped down. But she did her MBA from Harvard Business School. And then after that, her first job was at Procter & Gamble. And so apparently one of the first jobs they gave her was that she was asked to determine the circumference of a bottle of shampoo that they were trying to sell, so ivory shampoo. And they said that what should be the circumference? Should it be like a small circumference or should it be bigger circumference? So her immediate thought to herself was, what a stupid job. Why am I being asked to go and go to the field and find out the circumference and talk to customers and find out the circumference of the bottle of shampoo? And so she thought, I don't know, I've done an MBA and now I'm being asked to do this stupid menial job. And then she thought better of it. She thought, should I go and tell my boss that this is a dumb job? And then what do you think? Would that have been the right thing to do? To go tell the boss that why are you asking me to do this stupid job? I have just got an MBA, and she was at Princeton for undergrad, Harvard for grad school, and then she gets this stupid job. So then what do you think she did? How many of you think that she went and told the boss that this is dumb? Nobody. That's great. So then what do you think she did? Sorry? Okay, I can't hear what you're saying. Anyone wants to say? No? Okay. So what she thought to herself is, all right, fine. I'll show them how I can do this job, right? And so she did the best analysis she possibly could. So what do you think when you have, if the circumference of the shampoo bottle is, what does it determine? So if the circumference is big, then what do you think happens?
The flow of shampoo in the bottle.
Flow of shampoo is more. So then what? Yeah. So what does that mean? What is the implication? Raise your hand.
It'll get used up earlier.
It'll get used up earlier. Exactly. So then more sales, right? So the company would be happier, right? Because people will be buying more shampoo. Is there any flip side to it? What about, is there any risk of that? It'd be costly. What about the customers? The users of the shampoo? Pardon?
The users of the shampoo will not
Maybe.
be satisfied because they'll have to spend more.
Exactly. So they may not be satisfied because they will be, spending more because this shampoo, they'll say it's finishing so fast, so quickly. Of course, it also depends on the thickness and how much, but whatever. So she did some study on comparing the circumference of different shampoos, shampoo bottles. And so this was the point is it's a trivial task. And she did an analysis on how that typically impacted the sale of the, the shampoo. And she did the best presentation she could. She found as much information as she could do, and then finally she presented to the bosses, and well, they were really impressed because she found all the information that she could, and she did it. And then later she asked her boss, she said, like, did you not know this information? You asked me to do this, did you not know the answer? And he said, yeah, we knew the answer. So then, why do you think they asked her to do it? To test her, basically, right? And so to test her, both the way her interpersonal skills, how she took tasks, and if she had gone and said that, I'm not going to do this stupid task, then what do you think would have happened? They would have felt that she doesn't, she's too, immodest, right? She thinks she's really great because she's come from this top business school and so on, so she doesn't have the right attitude, right? And so even your attitude is really important to how well you do in your job, right? And so being humble and showing humility, and then being able to take any task you're given and think through all the implications, and doing, figuring out whom to speak with, and then making a really good presentation, and then coming up with your recommendation makes all the difference, right? So this is just an example that any job you're given, instead of questioning it and saying that this is a dumb, stupid task, which sometimes it can be. I can also remember some dumb, stupid tasks I was given as a management trainee, but it's better not, rather than saying that, it's better to tackle it the best way you can. So that's really the drill, and then also getting out of your comfort zone, not just thinking the way you always did and what you'd like to do and coasting, but trying to put in as much effort as you can. So that's making the same point again. And then another thing is to be curious. Never be afraid to ask questions. And actually it's important when you start a job, then it's pretty good to ask questions, because why do you think it's good when you start to ask questions? Like if you ask a question 5 years into your job and you don't know what a particular acronym means, what would that show? That would show that you are a bit of a duh, right? You haven't even figured out what this means 5 years later, right? So that would not be a good idea. But when you join, it's okay to ask lots of questions, and sometimes you can get, maybe those people don't like it. I remember when I joined Bank of America, I learned all about USP. I don't know, any of you know what USP means?
User selling.
Yeah, unique selling proposition. So I was kind of keen to know what is my bank that I joined, what is its USP? And the boss was not very happy. He kind of, he was a bit rude from recollection. Maybe because he didn't actually know the answer to the question, what is the USP of, what was the USP of the bank at the time? So, but anyway, so whatever question, so you shouldn't let that deter you, right? I felt a bit bad, I remember. So many years later, I still remember that I feel he snubbed me. But now, I feel that that's because he didn't know the answer to it. So being curious and asking questions is always a good thing, yeah? And if people snub you, then it's probably because they don't know the answer to your question. So that shouldn't deter you. And then thinking outside the box, or thinking of solutions that are different from what the company is doing right now, that can also be valuable. Again, you may get some pushback, but that shouldn't let you feel, shouldn't deter you. So, and always when you are offered some opportunity, grasp that. Because often we don't do that, right? There's some opportunity that comes along and you say, I don't know whether I should take it or not. Well, if you don't know whether you should take it or not, generally speaking, you should take it, because you never know what that could lead to, So that's really important. And then think about how your work relates to your goals. And so being conscious of your goals is also really, really important. So, again, I have with your Steve Jobs. I don't know how we are doing on time. Is it time to break?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it? You sound very eager to break. Okay, well, then we can break. Since you're so very eager. But you got a task over your lunch break, okay? Which you probably read already. But anyway, so during lunch, when you go out, then you meet someone you didn't know before and ask them these questions, okay? Find out what they're passionate about, find out what excites them, and find out what they want to be when they grow up, all right? And then you report back here, and then think about that, think about the beginning, the oath you took. Try to remember portions of that oath as well, all right? If not the whole of the oath. And then I'll ask you when we come back, all right? You have a quiz. Okay? All right. So what time do we reassemble here?